A flight instructor dies mid-flight from sudden cardiac arrest. His co-pilot didn't realize anything had gone wrong until they landed. And then we have a UNLV college football player, 20-year-old Ryan Keeler, who was found dead in his bed. The cause of death is currently unknown. That is going to be the subject of today's episode. And so, from Trial Site News, I am Adrian, and our episode is starting right now. So for the past couple of weeks, we've been following a rapid succession of athletes dying from cardiac arrests. And today is no different. We have two more bizarre tales that have crept into the mainstream. First, we have a rather disturbing story that is only just now surfacing in the news. A flight instructor who held a Class 1 medical died in flight while flying with a qualified pilot. The pilot, thankfully, was able to land the aircraft safely. A post-mortem concluded that the instructor died from acute cardiac failure. The qualified pilot had planned to fly from Blackpool Airport to another airfield with a 4-person Piper PA-2H, but the wind conditions were a bit too high, and so for safety reasons, he asked his friend and instructor to accompany him. The instructor agreed. Prior to taking off, everything seemed normal. The instructor seemed his normal, cheerful self, and they carried on conversations while the plane was taxied out to the runway. According to the surviving pilot, the instructor's last words were, "Looks good. There is nothing behind you." However, shortly after takeoff, the instructor's head rolled back. But as they were longtime friends, the pilot thought he was just pretending to take a nap and messing with him. However, once the plane turned, the instructor slumped over against him, his head resting on his shoulder. But even still, the pilot didn't realize his instructor friend was dead, and it wasn't until after they had landed safely that he realized something had gone horribly wrong. Emergency personnel were notified, but they were unable to revive the instructor. According to a report by CNN, people who had spoken to him on the morning of the incident said he was his normal and cheerful self, and there was no indications that he was feeling unwell. This according to the AAIB report. And they went on to say that the 3 people who had flown with him for the trial lesson just prior to the incident flight said he seemed well and nothing abnormal had occurred. The medical department of the UK Civil Aviation Authority reviewed the incident and the instructor's medical history and concluded that, from the evidence provided, it is likely the individual suffered a cardiac arrest as the aircraft took off. He was known to suffer from high blood pressure, but it was within regulatory limits. The AAIB said that no tests or assessment can give a 100% reliable detection of cardiac issues, and a balance needs to be struck between minimizing the risk to flight safety and providing fair and reasonable medical assessments of individuals. The AAIB said that the rarity of accidents caused by cardiac events in flight suggests this balance is currently about right. Now, the AAIB concluded in their report that while on this occasion the instructor's co-pilot was qualified and was able to land the plane safely, the outcome could have been very different. Well, yeah, he was an instructor. It could have been very bad. Now, the post-mortem concluded that the instructor died from acute cardiac failure. His coronary arteries showed diffuse atheromatous disease, which is a condition where the arteries become clogged with fatty substances, and there was a coronary thrombus or blood clot occluding his left mainstem artery. Now, we can't say for sure why this story suddenly made the news on CNN. This story isn't new after all. This is a story from 2022. However, considering mounting concern and focus by regular folks on the growing public cases of sudden cardiac arrest, it does seem likely that news outlets like CNN are finally caving to public interest. The slew of tragic cases of young people dying of cardiac arrest is becoming impossible to ignore. This is in large part thanks to websites like Twitter, which are no longer quelling the conversation. The public at large has suddenly become aware of this trend, and the demand for answers is growing ever louder. And why shouldn't it? No matter how often people are going to tell you that it's no big deal, sudden cardiac arrest in young people really isn't the norm. Now, cardiac arrest is a common cause of death, particularly in older age ranges. For example, cardiac arrest causes roughly about 300 to 450,000 deaths in the United States each year, and cardiac arrest causes about half of the deaths linked with heart attack and stroke. However, sudden cardiac arrest is rare in young people. It happens, but it's rare. And what is standing out to people now is the frequency of the incidences. For example, let's take a look at the UNLV football player Ryan Keeler's death here on Monday, which is still being investigated by Las Vegas authorities. Currently, the police department there is waiting for the coroner reports and detective findings, this according to Officer Robert Wicks of the Las Vegas Police Department. Now, Keeler was a defensive lineman from Chicago, Illinois, who had just completed his redshirt freshman season. The graduate of Nazareth Academy transferred to UNLV from Rutgers University, and he was a highly recruited player who garnered dozens of scholarship offers out of high school. Now, the football UNLV head coach, Barry Odom, was quoted as saying that, "We are devastated to have lost a member of our Rebel family. While I had the honor of knowing Ryan for only a couple of months, he had already stood out to our coaching staff as an incredible person, student, and teammate. Our condolences and prayers go out to Ryan's family as we grieve along with them over this tremendous loss." And he wasn't alone at the UNLV. The president of that college also tweeted about Ryan's passing, saying this, "Words are hard to come by this evening as we grieve the sudden and tragic loss of UNLV student-athlete Ryan Keeler. My sincere condolences are with Ryan's family, friends, loved ones, and teammates during this very difficult time." The UNLV Director of Athletics, Eric Harper, also chimed in on the story, saying the UNLV family is in mourning today over the sudden loss of one of our own. Our hearts go out to all of Ryan's family and friends, along with his Rebel teammates. Now, as of now, there's been no memorial scheduled for Ryan Keeler yet. The school appears to be waiting for more information about his death. But these kinds of stories just keep happening. There's a reason why you're seeing this in the news. You're seeing it on social media everywhere. In fact, we don't have time to cover it today, but 7 days ago, there was a 12-year-old boy playing football who also died of sudden cardiac arrest. They were unable to revive him. And so the questions by the public just keeps mounting. Why is this happening? Why the frequency? And naturally, my friends, will be continuing to keep you posted on this situation as it continues to unfold. And that, my friends, will bring our episode to a close once more. For more content like this, be sure to check back to this channel daily, Monday through Friday, or for written articles every day, 7 days a week, feel free to visit us at trialsitenews.com. And as ever, always, my friends, thank you so much for joining me on the program today. From Trial Site News, I am Adrian, and I will see you all next time.